Good evening. In today's class, we'll study Milton's Paradise Lost outline. John Milton, the Puritan poet, living in a Puritan environment, he actually selected the fall of man as the theme of his great epic. So because in the treatment of the fall, he meant to condemn the mental levity of man, who is prone to forget the importance of his own actions. So Adam and Eve casually commit what they imagine is a trifling error, and for which they are punished with a doom out of all proportion to their crime. So Milton's treatment of fall yields to the obvious meaning that it is the first business of man to understand the issues of life and to be aware of the importance of every trivial act. So this is actually the central philosophy of Puritanism, to take care of every little action. So this moral order, is actually present from the very beginning in all his poetry, in all Milton's poetry. But if you see in Paradise Lost, it comes to the forefront. So in Paradise Lost, Milton upholds and justifies the divine order infallibly prevailing in the universe. So Milton holds that God is the supreme commander of the universe. So Paradise Lost is an epic poem, and it was originally published in 1667 in 10 books, with a total of over 10,000 individual lines of verse. A second edition followed in 1674, which was redivided into 12 books. So Paradise Lost actually contains 12 books. The poem, this epic, concerns the Christian story of the fall of man, the temptation of Adam and Eve by the fallen angel, Satan, and their expulsion from the Garden of Eden. So Milton's purpose stated in Book 1 is to justify the ways of God to men and elucidate the conflict between God's eternal foresight and man's free will. Milton states with remarkable brevity the theme of the whole epic, that is man's first disobedience, which brings sin and death into the world. So Milton asked the heavenly muse to help him sing of the stated theme. So that is actually the invocation of the heavenly muse, which we find in Book 1. So Milton incorporates paganism, classical Greek references, and Christianity within the poem, within this epic. And it deals with diverse topics. Paradise Lost deals with diverse topics ranging from marriage, politics, and monarchy, and grapples with many difficult theological issues, including fate, predestination, and the Trinity, and also the introduction of sin and death into the world. Also, the poem discusses angels, fallen angels, Satan, and the war in heaven. So Milton draws on his knowledge of languages and diverse sources, primarily Genesis, and much of the New Testament and other parts of the Old Testament. So Milton's epic is generally considered one of the greatest literary works in the English language. So outline of Paradise Lost, we see this now. So Paradise Lost, Book 1. It begins in the middle of the story. Actually, it opens with reference to Adam and Eve's disobedience to the command of God not to taste the fruit of the tree of knowledge. So this event of man's transgression of the command of God occurs actually only after the fall of angels. So chronologically, the story of Paradise Lost begins with the rebellion of 1/3 of the angels under the leadership of Satan against the absolute rule and authority of God in heaven. See, Paradise Lost actually begins with the rebellion of angels under the leadership of Satan against God in heaven. So Satan, who is formerly an archangel, next in power and glory only to God, he revolts against God in a bid to occupy the throne of heaven. So a fierce war takes place in heaven between the faithful and the fallen angels. The Almighty God defeats Satan and his rebellious host and imprisons and confines them into a burning lake of sulfur in heaven. So next is the second part, is the creation of the human race. That is the next great event in the story of Paradise Lost is the creation of Adam and Eve. So this is the second great event in Paradise Lost. First is the war between angels, fallen angels, or Satan and God. The second great event is the creation of Adam and Eve. Creation of Adam and Eve. God created paradise for their dwelling. So God created paradise for the dwelling of Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve lived in perfect happiness and bliss as immortal spirits under the direct supervision and the benediction of God. So they were masters of the whole world, free to do or enjoy every heavenly bliss, except that they were forbidden to taste the fruit of the tree of knowledge. So this is the only command that God has given them, that they should not taste the fruit of the tree of knowledge. So Satan had come to know of the creation of man and paradise, and also of that one command or a restriction put on man. So therefore, Satan, he sought to beguile and seduce man to taste the forbidden tree or the forbidden fruit, and thereby defeat and frustrate God's scheme. So with this aim in view, Satan plans to call and collect all his fallen angels to decide their future course of action through discussion among themselves. So Satan beguiled and seduced man to taste the forbidden fruit. So outline of Paradise Lost, Book 1. So Satan's sin. Milton actually enumerates the theme in more detail and reviews Satan's sin, revolt against the Almighty that caused him to be cast out of heaven and to dwell in hell forever. So on the account of his pride, Satan wanted to equal God, and with this end in view, he raised impious war in heaven. So Milton also throws light on Satan's unconquerable will and unflinching pride. So Satan is still unconquered, filled with hatred and ready to find out how he can best take revenge upon God. So Satan declares himself as the ruler of hell. Having reached a place of comparative ease, he asks his companions, that is fallen angels, to follow him. And Satan makes a vehement appeal to his fallen companions to carry on the war by fraud or guile. So in response, the angels cheer their leader. So with amazing speed, they build a palace called Pandemonium. Okay, fallen angels, they built a palace called Pandemonium for Satan and his followers. So Milton narrates how all the devils flock to Pandemonium, the devils reducing their sizes so as to accommodate themselves in the palace. So thus their great consultation begins in this great hall. So this is the Pandemonium, constructed, built by the fallen angels. So Paradise Lost, Book 1, it actually begins in the middle of the story. Okay, it opens with reference to Adam and Eve's disobedience to the command of God not to taste the fruit of the tree of knowledge. So it actually begins in the middle of the story. Paradise Lost book 1 begins in the middle of the story. That is, God's command of man's first disobedience and the fruit of that forbidden tree whose mortal taste brought death into the world and all a room with laws of Eden till one great man restore us and regain the blissful seat. Sing heavenly muse. So this event of man's transgression of the command of God, it occurs when chronologically the story of Paradise Lost has already gone halfway through. And actually speaking, Satan is the central figure in Paradise Lost. So whether Satan is the hero of Paradise Lost or not may be a matter of controversy. But there is no denying the fact that he is the most dynamic and most impressive character in the epic. So Milton has drawn the character of Satan so flawlessly and so powerfully that some critics even go to the extent of saying that Milton belonged to the devil's party. So it is through Satan that Milton's own heroic energy is most powerfully shown. The rest we will see next class. Thank you.